Hi there, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra on digital address GA0993341 on Joy 99.7 FM. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, DigiBank. Let's go. Coming up, Joy News to unmask nurses and doctors allegedly extorted monies from poor patients at the Tamale Teaching Hospital in documentary set for broadcast later tonight.
Yes, she has to pay the money. It's meant for drugs that we used to induce her pregnancy.
We'll bring you the latest as Joy News goes undercover. Also, President Akufo-Addo directs investigations into reports of squabbles and open confrontation among some ambassadors heading Ghana missions abroad and their staff.
This situation is completely unacceptable and is proving detrimental to the smooth running of our mission and occasioning unnecessary additional costs.
And Pastor Mansell Tabo files defense denying claims he benefited from loans and acted fraudulently as former board chairman of Capital Bank. We have details in his defense filed at the High Court.
And the draw for the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League is over. Tough draws for Manchester United, Liverpool and Atletico Madrid. Defending champions Real Madrid have drawn Ajax Amsterdam. Details coming up in 20 minutes.
And later in this package, group of Ghanaians based in the United States set to construct a borehole for Kwaman number 1 after Joy News revealed residents drink water contaminated by wastewater from a piggery and bathrooms.
We are in 21st century in a country like Ghana. People are still drinking this water, this kind of water. That's unacceptable. So a group of friends, we decided, why not just go over there, look at it and just see how much it will cost, and then we can see if we can do a borehole for them.
That and more coming up shortly. I am Benes Abubeidulansa. Great to have you here at the details now. It's a documentary revealing widespread extortion of money from patients at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the main referral facility for the 3 regions of the North. Robbing the Sick is the product of a year-long undercover investigation by Joy News following concerns by patients. Tonight, it premieres on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. In the following excerpt, we capture how a midwife detained a mother after delivery because she could not pay an unofficial fee of 32 cedis.
While hanging out on the corridors of the OBS and Ghani department, I meet this lady. I've decided to call her Zina. Her sister was detained at the maternity ward. The midwife who delivered her of her baby is demanding money for assisting her during the delivery. This midwife is popularly called Auntie B. She had closed for her nightly duties, but waiting on Zina to pay 30 cedis delivery fee. This is the second time I'm accompanying such distressed patients to pay on their behalf.
Yes, she has to pay the money. It's meant for drugs that we used to induce her pregnancy. That's why you're paying 32 Ghana cedis. If it wasn't for the drugs, she would have paid 20 Ghana cedis. Then we also delivered her of her baby and she has to pay for that. She hasn't paid yet. That's why I haven't gone home yet. I'm waiting.
Such monies are not sanctioned by the authorities of the Tamale Teaching Hospital. Dr. David Akombela is the chief executive of the hospital.
The question of extortions by health personnel from our clients, I've been hearing such complaints on radio and but nobody has concretely brought a report to me on any concrete person taking money from a particular client. But we have taken steps. We've actually written out to notify all staff that it's illegal for anybody to take monies from anybody through any unapproved channel without receipts. So staffs are aware that when they are caught in that act, they will be reprimanded heavily.
Is it mandatory for, let's say, women who deliver here at your hospital? Do they need to pay before they know the sex of their babies? Do they need to pay for even delivering?
No, all our clients here are under the free maternal care, and we don't. The management has not instituted any charges of any form for patients to pay directly to us.
You heard excerpts of our latest hotline documentary, Robbing the Sick. Well, the PRO of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, Dr. Kenose Mensah, has been defending some of the monies demanded by the health officials there. He says such fees may be charged because the National Health Insurance Scheme does not cover all the medical issues handled at the hospital.
We had reports that people complain that when they come to the hospital, they pay monies that they don't get receipts for. And some people feel that because of the National Health Insurance, when they are not supposed to pay any amount of money.
Which they are not supposed to pay for many services that are covered under the health insurance.
For services that are covered, yes. But it is not as comprehensive as we have been made to believe. For instance, when I saw this excerpts earlier, when Kwete came to the hospital, we did a dig up of what may have transpired. You would be surprised to believe that even though in this country we have a policy of a comprehensive free maternal health care under the health insurance scheme, there are some very critical obstetric drugs that are not covered under the health insurance. And I understand that this particular one that the lady was demanding monies for is misoprostol, that's cytotec. And even though we are not condoning this practice.
But that's what you're doing. You're condoning. You're saying you seem to be approving or legitimizing the inactions of a staff.
I'm clarifying. That woman that night saved a woman's life with that drug. In some of the situations, you would realize that when we go into it, there were legitimate payments that should have been made. People come and they come with receipts, and then they feel that because they're under health insurance, they shouldn't pay for a particular service. And they complain that why are they paying for this particular service because they're under health insurance. And we had several complaints of these. We had meetings with an NHIS. We had town hall meetings with some community leaders and opinion leaders. Management is dedicated to making sure that people are not exploited when they come to the Tamale Teaching Hospital.
You heard the PRO of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, Dr. Kenose Mensah, speaking to Roland Walker on the AM show. Well, the Registrar of the Medical and Dental Council, Dr. Eli Atikwi, has condemned the actions of the health practitioners charging unapproved fees. He's asking health institutions to come up with ways of making medicines that are not covered under the NHIS available, rather than allowing health personnel to provide these drugs at a cost.
The institutions will put systems in place to ensure that drugs or medications that are needed at certain times are made available either directly for the patients to pay or, they find a way of providing them. You see, because if now individuals go out there to go and collect money, or individuals go there to provide their own medications to the patients, it goes against the principles of providing healthcare in public institutions. So if Tamale Teaching Hospital has realized that, yes, this particular medication is important, they need to use it at specific times, then the institutions should make it available. I know that there are other institutions that do same, so that at least the institution is aware that this particular medication is not available on the National Health Insurance system.
You heard the Registrar of the Medical and Dental Council, Dr. Eli Atikwi. Well, before the full documentary airs, scores of people have begun sharing similar experiences of extortion by healthcare personnel at various hospitals across the country. Some of them called in to the Super Morning Show earlier today.
In fact, after giving birth to my baby at the labor ward, they told me that certain instruments they used on me are not supposed to be used there, so I have to pay for it. I made the payment. After delivering also, when I was about to leave the hospital, one of the nurses came around collecting money from all of us. We were in one room. And then I demanded for a receipt, and she was like, I'm too difficult. She did not take my money for that, but she took the others made the payment. We went down for our drugs also. The National Health Insurance guy was demanding PCDs from every mother before he's able to, do that, have that process done for you to.
She called in and was given, from the way she was speaking, you could see that she had, because the first person, he demanded a receipt for the first place that he paid the money. And they didn't take the money. He went to the dispensary, and then they were demanding money again. And this time, the person took it. And when you're trying to prove the person won, the person apologized.
What I like to say is that after I delivered, my sister came in to pick me up, and she was asked to buy certain things. And among the things was 4 drips. And then after she told me she went to pay for certain things, and there were 4 drips in it. So I told her the nurses never gave me drips. So why pay for drips?
Well, you heard some people sharing their experiences of extortion by healthcare personnel at various hospitals across the country. And this is on the back of our latest documentary, Robbing the Sick. It airs on the Joy News channel on Multi TV at 8:30 p.m. this evening, on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Do make a date. Away from that, President Akufo-Addo has directed investigations into what he describes as petty squabbles and turf war among some heads of Ghana missions abroad and their Foreign Office staff. According to him, the situation is undermining smooth running of the embassies. The ambassadors and high commissioners are in the country for a 3-day conference on how to deepen Ghana's foreign policy abroad. Addressing them, President Akufo-Addo condemned the development and demanded thorough investigations and sanctions. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe is at that event and joins us on the line. Now, Elton, how widespread is this problem the president talks about?
Well, Ben, it's unfortunate the president would not name the ambassadors involved, neither would he name the missions involved. But it was quite clear that at the time he inducted them into office, he made it clear to them that they were to ensure cordiality between their office and the Foreign Office staff that they are supposed to be working with. But the opposite is what has happened. And the effect of the act that it is undermining smooth operations of the missions abroad and also hurting the country. And he wants this particular matter addressed by the Foreign Affairs Minister. We can listen to him on this particular issue.
To respect the swearing-in ceremonies, I urge you, especially the political appointees, to strive to develop cordial working relations with the professional foreign staff officers you will find at your duty post. It was for one simple, obvious reason. They have invaluable experience and an in-depth knowledge of the terrain, which should help you discharge your duties effectively. It has, however, come to my attention that in some of the missions, the exact opposite of my appeal is being adhered to. There are several reports of petty squabbles, turf wars, outright confrontations, and a complete breakdown in relations between some heads of missions and their respective foreign service officers.
The president is speaking about some recent development at Ghanaian missions abroad. Elton, the ambassadors also made a request from the president. What are their concerns?
And they had a tall list. First, they want tax waivers off on at least one vehicle that will be bringing into the country. They are also asking the president to consider a request to increase the number of dependents from 2 to 3 that they can, have with them while serving the country abroad. We can listen to Mr. Aikwe, who spoke on behalf of the ambassadors.
Waive taxes and levies on at least one vehicle brought in by heads of mission and other foreign service officers, regardless of engine capacity, as applies to other public servants. Increase of dependents from 2 to 3. Extend representation grants, the purpose for which is to enable us deepen and strengthen our relations with host country interlocutors and other diplomats across all nations, all missions, without the need for strict accountability principles. Review of compensation be concluded as soon as feasible. Match the drive to promote made in Ghana goods abroad with resources for samples of goods to be sent to the missions for display at our events and ultimately for the promotion of the Ghana brand.
Well, Elton, before you leave, we understand that the managing director of the IMF is holding a meeting with President Akufo-Addo. What has come up from that meeting?
Well, so briefly on this, President Akufo-Addo is about to speak. The IMF boss is in country for some engagement. For her, President Akufo-Addo inherited a fragile economy, but from the figures that they have received as far as Ghana is concerned, the indicators are pointing to the right direction, and it praised Ghana for formalizing the economy. We're waiting to hear President Akufo-Addo's response to this particular matter.
Thank you, Elton Brobe, the presidential correspondent, bringing us updates on the president's meetings today. Now, Pastor Mensa Otabil has denied claims he benefited from loans and acted fraudulently as former board chairman of Capital Bank. Pastor Otabil, who is also the general overseer of the International Central Gospel Church, has been sued together with 15 others for the collapse of the Capital Bank. The joint receivers of the now defunct bank are seeking to recover a total sum of 748 million cedis from shareholders of the bank. Joy News has secured a copy of Pastor Otabil's defense filed at the High Court. Head of our political desk, Evans Mensah, has more.
Pastor Mensa Otabil mounts a strong defense. He says the debt of a total of 482 million cedis found on the books of the now defunct Capital Bank did not result from the negligence of the directors, and neither did the board he chaired make any misrepresentation to the Bank of Ghana as regards payment of the minimum capital required for the granting of the requisite banking license. In fact, he says it was the directors of the plaintiff who identified various outstanding or impaired legacy assets traceable to the microfinance days of the First Capital Plus Foundation, which later became a bank. Dr. Otabil explains that it was these legacy assets that threatened the health of Capital Bank. He says they informed the central bank of these non-performing assets. They also notified the bank of a resolution by the shareholders to accept responsibility for the 482 million CD debt, which they resolved to pay back within 5 years using their dividends. The shareholders, it is argued, placed their shares on the line so the bank could have a clean bill of health. The receivers in their suit are asking the court to force the defendants to repay the amount with interest, totaling 748 million cedis. Dr. Otabil disputes this, insisting he does not owe the bank anything. He says, quote, "In all of his tenure as a director and chairman of the bank, he did not apply for, neither was he offered, nor did he receive any loan, overdraft, or any credit facility from the plaintiff." Perhaps the most stinging allegation against Dr. Otabil, both in the controversial Boulders report and the suit, is that he supervised the irregular transfer of 130 million cedis from the central bank's liquidity support through all-time cap to a related company of the founder of Capital Bank, William Atuesian. It is alleged that at a board meeting, management objected to the transfer, but Pastor Otabil overruled them and guaranteed that the money will be repaid. In his defense, however, Dr. Otabil disputes 1. the amount in question, 2. the claim of a board meeting, and 3. the claim that he guaranteed that the money will be repaid. He says the amount in question was 120 million and not 130 million. He says there was never a board meeting. He says the then chief executive and some other management members met him alone at an informal meeting and raised apprehensions that investment that had been made may not be redeemed. He says he asked them to, quote, "take all necessary steps to ensure that the investments were fully recovered." He says the transfer had long been done by management before it came to his attention. He says the alleged minutes produced as evidence of the supposed board meeting was, quote, "an ex post facto rationalization of events calculated to create a false impression that he was consulted and or his approval sought and obtained prior to the undertaking of the investment."
You heard the head of our political desk, Evans Mensah. Let's head to Parliament now because the Road and Transport Committee is accusing the DVLA of charging what it describes as unapproved fees. The DVLA offers premium services, issuing licenses in less than 30 minutes, the first in the country's history. But according to the committee, the DVLA did not seek parliamentary approval before the rollout of the service. The minority MPs insist the charges are illegal. Joseph Obuku-Gakpo, our parliamentary correspondent, joins us on the line. Joseph.
Bennett.
So what exactly is this issue?
So let me quote for you directly the report of the Committee on Roads and Transport on the budgetary estimate for the Transport Ministry. And the report reads, the committee expressed its unhappiness with the DVLA over its fee charged on the processing of driving license. The committee pointed to the DVLA that its charge of fees for premium exclusivity on driving licenses was not backed by law and has no basis of parliamentary approval. The committee urged the DVLA to abide by the law. That's what the report says. But on the floor, before the House approved the budgetary estimate, the chairman of the committee, Samuel Ipe, indicated that there was an error in the report. They were withdrawing the bit in which they claimed that the charges are illegal and going ahead to urge the Ministry of Transport to still seek parliamentary approval early next year for the charges, for the premium charges. But the ranking member on the Roads and Transport Committee on the minority side, Kwame Abuda, insists that the charges never got parliamentary approval, hence the illegality, and is urging the government to do the right thing.
About the cost of the new license is known. Mr. Speaker, for instance, there was never a prestige fee for driving licenses in the past. The fees they are charging for the prestige today is up and above what is in the fees and charges. We can either take it and say, and indeed, DVLA agreed that they were going to ensure that all those are part of the new fees and charges, and we were moving on. So if the minister and the chairman come to the floor, try to give the impression that the DVLA is not doing anything. Mr. Speaker, I think the minister can basically take it on board. Even at the meeting, that was the impression we had at the committee meeting, that the DVLA was going to work together with the finance ministry to ensure that what they intend to charge is captured, and we all can move on. It is not an attempt to make anybody look like doing the wrong thing. Indeed, they are charging a prestige fee which has never been charged. That is a fact.
Joseph, briefly, how has the minister been responding to this?
So he says this approval actually got the backing of the ranking member on the Committee on Roads and Transport, and he supported the decision to charge more fees earlier. But eventually, the agreement is that early next year, he will be back to the House with a request for approval so that then these explicit charges would be approved by the House so the DVLA can continue charging it.
Thank you, Joseph Opoku Gakpo there. He is our parliamentary correspondent. You're listening to the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Benes Abubeidulansa. Still to come, group of Ghanaians based in the United States set to construct a borehole for Kwaman number 1 after Joy News revealed residents drink water contaminated by wastewater from a piggery and bathrooms.
We are in 21st century in a country like Ghana. People are still drinking this water, this kind of water. That's unacceptable. So a group of friends, we decided, why not just go over there, look at it, and just see how much it will cost, and then we can see if we can do a borehole for them.
Let's go,
My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality, but I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
Thanks so much for staying here on the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. It's now time to know what's happening in the latest from the world of sports. Read one.
Yeah, this afternoon we've been served with the draws for the Champions League and also Europa League coming up. We're all waiting to find out which teams will be playing. That's the top guns, especially on the back of Manchester United's plummeting performances in the league. We all wanted to know where they will be heading or which team they will play. But it looks like it's certain now. They'll face Paris Saint-Germain from France in the last 16 of the Champions League. Also, Liverpool, they've been able to draw 5-time winners Bayern Munich. And Also, Real Madrid, the holders or the defending champions, they face Ajax Amsterdam. Yes, that's another big one, there for you. Barcelona will play against Lyon. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City take on Schalke from Germany. And Thomas Partey's Atletico Madrid, runners up in 2014 and 2016, they face Juventus. That's a big one there. Borussia Dortmund will meet Tottenham Hotspur, and Roma were paired with two-time former champions. That's two-time winners Porto in the other fixture for the round of 16. The draw will be discussed extensively alongside what we have from the Europa League, which is currently underway at on top of the hour. That's after the news at 1 with the rest of the team on this Joy Sports track.
Interesting fixtures there. Thank you so much, Ridwan Asante, with the latest from the world of sports. Now, help is on the way for residents of Kwaman Number 1, a town in the central region where residents drink water contaminated by wastewater from a piggery and bathrooms. A group of Ghanaians based in the United States have committed to constructing a borehole for the community after Joy News told their story. From Kwaman Number 1, Kwesi Parker Wilson has more.
This is the polluted water being used here by residents. They are unhappy, but they are stuck with this because there's no other option. Although pipelines have been laid here, water does not flow. After Joy News told the story, the District Chief Executive of Ewutu Senya, Stephen Kwame, who says he was unaware of the situation, is promising the dormant pipelines will now be connected.
I didn't know that they were drinking with this animal water. No. Tomorrow, I'm meeting the manager of Ghana Water Company, close to Kwamine, and then have a discussion with them because they are in charge of extending water or putting up the pipe stand, the public pipe stand. The cost will be borne by the assembly.
Even before meeting with the Ghana Water Company, a group of Ghanaians living in the United States of America wants to help.
To be honest, for the first time, I was not able to watch the full video. I have to close my eyes to watch it, but after a few days, I was able to watch it again and again, and then I was like, wow, we are in 21st century in a country like Ghana, people are still drinking this water, this kind of water. That's unacceptable.
You heard Kwesi Parker Wilson's report. Then let's head now to the NDC's headquarters because we understand that some flag bearer hopefuls have filed their nominations today. Kwesi Parker Wilson joins us from the NDC's headquarters. Kwesi, what can you report? Hello, Kwesi. If you can hear me, how many of the flag bearer hopefuls have filed their nominations so far?
Well, two presidential hopefuls of the NDC have filed nominations today, Alban Babin and Professor Joshua Alabi. Now, we are told that the former president, John Dramani Mahama, in just about 10 minutes will be at the party office to also file his nomination. Now, let me say that when Alban Babin was filing his nomination, he indicated that his vision for the party is to restore the integrity of the NDC and also recapture power for the party in the 2020 election because he believes that the party has lost its integrity. Now, Alban Babin, on the other hand, was raising concerns about the filing fee again, even though they have sent a petition to the Council of Elders, but they are yet to respond to the petition. And what he's saying is that it is not a prudent way for the party executive to raise funds, but rather he is calling on them to ensure that they find innovative ways to raise funds for party activities.
Kwesi Parker Wilson joining us from the NDC's headquarters. Now that's the sound of a speeding BMW. You may love to push the pedal flat to the floor, but remember, speeding kills. At least 2,000 people died last year on Ghana's roads, and many of these were as a result of failure of drivers to observe basic road safety rules, including wearing of seatbelts. It's the reason the BMW Club Ghana launched a road safety campaign this month to help save lives. Here's Henry Kwesi-Bedu's report read to you.
The group wielded placards with inscriptions like "Hug your kids at home, but belt them in a car. Better you lose a minute in your life than to lose your life in a minute," amongst others, as part of the awareness creation. They paid the tolls for 3,500 vehicles at the Accra end of the toll booths on the Accra-Tema motorway. The vice president of the BMW Club Ghana spoke about what motivated his group to embark on this endeavor.
We have our reps in each of the toll booths. So when you get there, we've already paid for you.
So we just give you our flyer and tells you that there's a need for you to wear your seatbelt. I mean, do not cause panic or threat to any other road user on the road. Drive safely. That's our main motive for this year. What we are trying to achieve at the end of the day is that when you are using the road, do not overspeed.
Henry Kwesi Bedu's report read to you. There's now time for what's trending. Mapito Sibidi is here.
And hashtag UCL draw is trending. At Sleek Owen says to Man United, do not disappoint your loyal fans. And at Dolami_SR says, when Manchester United players realize they're playing against Neymar and Mbappe with laughing emojis. Also, hashtag Monday Motivation is trending. At Njoki says, if people around you are not supporting you, inspiring you, praying for you, or showing you a better way, cut them off immediately. Hashtag Monday Motivation.
Indeed, Monday Motivation, Mapito CBD. Then that's how we end this edition of the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. Our top story, Joy News to unmask nurses and doctors extorting monies from poor patients at the Tamale Teaching Hospital in documentary set for broadcast later tonight. 8:30 p.m. is the time on the Joy News channel on Multi TV, DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Benis Abubedu Lansa. Enjoy the rest of your day.